that obsession about ChatGPT, right? And so what we try to do, we'll try to do in this session is try to look at the underlying phenomena and also see what is possible with it and what are its limitations and what kind of issue it creates. Being a security privacy professional, we look at the issue that it will generate basically, right? So anybody aware about? I think most of us are aware about Grammarly. Some of you must be using it. Grammar check. It's one of the very good way of using or correcting the grammar the way you write basically. But now then there is the QI bot which has come, which is much better version of than Grammarly. It's a paraphrasing tool actually. I've been using it for long, and this tool takes this is near to the way you write actually, and it helps you to improve the way the usage of English actually. And then there are set of tools which has came recently, right? Anybody know Closer Coffee, Right Sonic, Jasper? So these are AI writing tools. They leverage basically GPT. I can show you something. I hope. Will I able to? So this is a kind of interface for a Closer Copy. I have license copy of this. So here you just write some brief sentence and it will help you to long form it basically. So people have been using this kind of tools to write article, to write a copy, or for example, if you want to do a copywriting for advertisement, so people have been using this kind of a tool basically, right? Then this is right sonic is another example. Like I talked about, there is this quillbot, which is a paraphrasing tool. Grammarly, we all know that is a tool which helps you to improve the way you write English basically. So AI in last 6-7 years have been quite improving in terms of helping you to write well, helping you to write correctly, and now helping you to generate the text as well, right? So closer copy, Jasper, right sonic. So these are the tools which had been in use basically, right? And so what is what exactly tells us there is something called the foundational AI, and there are engines which are called as a foundational AI basically. And when GPT-3, OpenAI come up with GPT-3, you know that Microsoft invested into this. Elon Musk has invested in this particular initiative. So this they started lending this capability to these GPT tools, GPT-3 based tools like a Closer Coffee, like a Red Sonic, Jasper, and last 1 or 2 years they had been, if you really you want type a generative AI and writing tool basically, your entire social media will be fed up with either Jasper advertisement, Red Sonic advertisement. Jasper is very aggressively advertising on all across basically. And this GPT tool is providing those capabilities to these tools basically. And we had most people have been using it. I had been practicing it in writing a lot of articles. Some of the copywriting also. I had Closer Copy is my favorite out of this. Right Sonic is also good. Jasper I tried, but I really like this. I have license of the Closer Copy and Right Sonic actually. So this foundational AI, it itself has it tried. I'll talk about okay, how much data that it consumes and how much it processes basically. But what is happening now? What exactly happened with this Chat GPT basically? The foundational AI has come to the level that it has launched this Chat GPT 3, right? Sorry, Chat GPT as an application, which is now probably nullifying the requirement of even closer copy, right? Sonic or Jasper basically. So what it is saying is that there are a lot of foundational AI model which is creating. They're lending support to the tool, and it is becoming so dynamic and so fluid basically. And this capability that people are coming with, and suddenly the foundational AI is coming with a lot of bigger capabilities, which is not even me now. The way OpenAI interface which has been developed for ChatGPT is so easy to use, and closer copy and right zoning is so difficult to use as of now if I see the way it is actually happening. So the past pace, they say that Moore's law was 18 months to double the processing capability. Here we are talking about 3 months now. Whatever capability that OpenAI had 3 months back It's double almost every 3 months basically, and we'll talk about that, what exactly that ecosystem, underlying ecosystem is. So this is nullifying way this kind of tools are coming in basically. So now many time people are now saying Grammarly they may not require the tool kind of Grammarly. Yes, there will be some requirements for that, and this is how the generative AI is going basically. And generative AI is a concept, right? Foundational AI is helping you to go to the generative AI. Until now you have been using AI, we are training it and trying to use it for prediction, many other thing. But now AI itself can generate so many things, and we'll see some of those examples basically, right? So this is happening at a text level actually, but same is happening at a image level as well. So Inworld is another image generator kind of a tool, and again DAL E version 1 is being leveraged, and now DALI is being used for this one, and now DALI itself is coming up with a capability which probably uh, uh, gives quite an interesting image, simple thing that you write, and we'll take some of these examples as well. So this ecosystem is changing the way things are happening. Yesterday only Google raised a code red alarm. First time it happened in recent past against OpenAI basically, saying that it will now kill the entire big business of search engine of Google basically. So yesterday only the Sundar Pichai's office has raised this code red alarm. Now we need to have our strategy for this basically. So this is a defining moment basically. The way people are saying, way the language was defined, and the 15,000 years back, something like the language has come, which has changed the humanity quite a lot. Now the internet has changed quite significantly for our life basically, and people are saying this probably will change the humanity quite significantly. This is really a revolutionary thing which will happen in the coming future, and that's why it is people are getting obsessed with what exactly this tool is and what exactly it can do out of this one. So what is underlying for this one? Underlying for this is there are these uh, different kind of models, and ChatGPT is one model, but there is already one big model which is coming, which is almost 3 times more than ChatGPT. So the Megatron, Turing and LG model basically. Microsoft and many other organizations are working for that. Nvidia and Microsoft is working with so many other startups as well. So it's if you look at the millions of parameters basically, that's very important, right? So almost 1758 billion number of parameters that ChatGPT process. You can just imagine why it is able to really throw that outcome based on whatever you are asking it to do basically, right? You are asking it to write a poem, it is writing poem. You are asking you to code, it is coding. Now instead of the security side, people are asking it find a vulnerability in this code, it is finding vulnerability for you. Then you are telling that for this vulnerability write a exploit for this code, it is writing exploit for you basically, right? So that is happening because the there are immense way the world's reality can be defined, billions and trillions way basically. And there is very philosophical analogy for this, right? So the reality, nature's reality is so big that no matter how much we try to improve our, I mean, so everybody has truth. So I have my own truth and you have your own truth basically. Or overall humanity has its own truth basically. Known truth I'm talking about. But reality is much bigger basically. And what we are trying to do until now is we are trying to expand our truth so that we know things much better basically, right? And this is an infinite genre basically. So you may able to go to 90%, 95%, but it's an infinity. At infinity, you will be reaching to 100% basically, right? So now people are saying that some of the claims that yesterday had since last 2 days I've been hearing from some of the startups and some of the big capability company. There was one on zero trust architecture. They're saying that they are able to reach to 90% of the total number of assets they can discover. So number of assets in the organization is also for me is a reality, and the tools which are trying to improve its truth basically by making sure that it is reaching to all those possible assets basically, and these technologies are helping us basically. Similarly, it's happening in this ecosystem that we are trying with these capabilities and these 1700 billion different parameters on this model is being tested on this. You can create, and I'll talk about the concept of the prompt. What is prompt basically, right? So, and then if you just look at a kind of a data that you process basically, and people are saying OpenAI it is costing almost $1 million every day to process all those requests basically, right? So millions of requests can be processed basically, and these kind of the current ability that we have been trying to do per day basis is this much of the petaflop of data that is getting consumed at a background basically. So now what is happening with this foundational AI I'm talking about? So foundational AI itself is now becoming so powerful. Until now there was quite a tremendous effort in terms of getting data set together, train it for your algorithm, and then make that data to work for whatever specific use case you have basically. Now the foundation AI is becoming so now competent. So people are saying the cost of uh, running or implementing a basic AI projects is now because of this is will be reduced to almost 40 to 50% in the future basically, and that's why how it will happen now. So the foundational AI models are becoming so competent basically. So then there are some new stream of the capabilities that will be defining where things will be happening, right? So somebody is using closer copy to develop a kind of a long form application out of it basically. Yeah? Somebody may think about a task basically. So you can just imagine now 1700 number of different parameters it can process. So people now it's up to us what kind of use cases that you would like to work on this basically, and that use cases in this language of the foundation AI is called as a prompt. You develop a prompt actually. So what the prompt means is so this is a model that you have, language model you have certain prompt that you develop ki I want this to develop a code for that matter basically, or develop a poem for that matter basically, right? And then you develop some prompt, it gives to language model and tries to throw the it will throw the generative text out of it basically. So prompt engineering will become now very important skill at least for coming 1 or 2 years of time. So there is a prompt market, there's a marketplace for the prompts now as well actually. So you can on the basis of this foundational language model you develop prompt and you sell those prompts, and there is already market available for this basically. So how this work is basically you define the task, you give the current input and output indicator basically, give it to this model, it will throw the possible outcome basically, and you probably refine to certain extent, and then it will mature itself basically because it really have a lot of capability inbuilt actually. So for that matter that there is a you want to develop a particular prompt for conversation between a customer and a customer and the company, and you want to say that this conversation should be polite, so that is a one parameter basically. So customer is the one, the user is another, the agency is one, then how you want to do this one, and then you feed some questions and you feed some responses, and then that will take care of itself basically, right? Because you understand it has all that data about how the interaction between customer for which reason. There are millions different way that people would like to reach to customer. More number of customers coming here and interactions coming here, more it will be evolve in terms of helping you with these interactions basically. So most of the chat application people build until now, that may become different because of this basically. So this prompt engineering is becoming now so important area, and there are a lot of people are now saying that probably in coming 2 3 years of time prompt engineering will become a significant force in coming future basically. So this is a basic foundational concept, and let's try to see, I try to build something as an example for this. So for that matter I just ask you uh, write a poem on Infosys, right? So and it comes near me. I'm not saying it is very perfect. Infosys is a name so bright, beacon of knowledge applied, company that's truly great. So leader in tech state. So just matter of 1 minute basically, right? Within a 1 minute basically it gives you this poem for on Infosys basically. So it understand what Infosys be doing, what is work basically, and all of those elements here basically, right? So software development, consulting, helping business to grow and thrive, leader in text state. So it tries to build that in a very generative text to give a flavor of poem here, basically, right? I try to ask it the write article on metaverse security, right? So this is article on metaverse security. This is just one simple line, write article on metaverse security, and it throws quite interesting kind of pointers here, and it is really good amalgamation of the pointers on the possible issues with metaverse, actually, right? I try to Tata Communications. I try to look at poem on Tata Communication as well, right? So this is so depending. So there is an n number of information available about us, about a company, about the entity, basically, and it had been consuming that information and providing a for particular. So the prompt here is a poem. Write a poem on a company, basically, right? And then somebody has developed this prompt, and that's what is throwing the result, basically. It provides uh, uh, for example, I want to ask it as a uh, how do you code for user access management, or there is a code something bubble sort algorithm. Suppose for example you want to use this for a so it will give you it will talk about what this bubble sorting is. It will give you code examples of code as well. You can copy the code as well. So I just talked about. So this is giving a code, and you can copy and paste it. Not only that, very interesting. So it's not only giving you code, but it will also give you probably uh, some library which you can directly pick up from this, actually. So this is how it is now becoming, actually. So just imagine, we until now, the kind of effort we are putting to develop some of these things. Just imagine how much how this will be creating, and how much time it will be saving for many of the things that we have been doing, basically. We all have writer's block, right? Even I write, I have passion of writing, basically, but many times there is a writer's block. Now it is really helping me with this. How to start is basically problem, helping me with a lot of information available here, basically. So this is how this will be changing, and now this is about what this is. I just what is the future of security? It gives me almost 6-7 different lines. What will be the future of security? And believe me, this is a very aggregated, and it must have a lot of data on which it has processed, basically. This is still I'm talking about text, but there is something which is happening in an image as well, right? Um, which is a DALI. So again, OpenAI initiative. So anything that you want, uh, it will give you the image uh, about you write, and it will create an image. So it's a generative image generative tool, basically. This is again OpenAI, basically. So and good part is that just look at me, angry man, and the kind of image that is it has created. This is creation. It's not they have not used ready-made kind of pictures. It has created these pictures, basically. And then we have these four people which has come as a angry man. So what do you notice here, basically? Hmm? Are you seeing bias? What bias you're seeing? Well, maybe I see all the colors here: brown, black, and then white. Yeah, yeah, yeah. May so just imagine this 1700 billion number of parameters I talked about. For anger, how many such parameters are talked about, actually, right? But the good part here is, as you notice, basically, so such kind of and they're still getting challenged for this. Such kind of AI models are largely criticized for their biasness, basically, right? And they are putting a lot of effort, basically, when they are throwing image like this, basically, right? So they are throwing image in a way that it doesn't have the inherent bias basically, right? So for example, just look at this uh, image of CEO, right? So we know what kind of people become CEO, but now it is lady as well, right? Uh, so probably they have explained somewhere here. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. So certainly, there are definitely some biases, and that's why they are getting triggered. But now, uh, let's look at let's give a photo of CEO. So this also tells you the limitations, right? What you are expecting out of this, right? Nah, I mean, I made a mistake. Yeah, so one part may and now being a security professionals, we are coming to that now. No? So one part of the challenge and issue that it would have is integrity, right? So at the end of day, many things. So this is largely on a publicly accessible information, right? A lot of knowledge, a lot of information, and sometimes very specific information which leads to decision making is still not in public domain, basically. So definitely, what is available in public domain, uh, it is processing that basically, right? But I believe that the more prompts are used for more commercial use, more it will be also solving some of those problems as well, because now people are developing prompts for commercial use as well. But yes, integrity is certainly one important challenge it will have. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so that is the challenge, right? So on a real world in public domain, right? It's not only real world, it's real world in public domain. For example, somebody asks question, right? Means write a story, and if you pick a particular religion, then for that particular religion, it will write so two men of this religion. It will write a story that will end up in a terrorist. They become a terrorist, right? Because we know that terrorism is most of the public information about it is available associated with a particular set of religion basically, and if you have another religion it will probably talk about some other story basically. So this biasness is certainly there because public itself, the overall information public information available itself is uh, too much on a particular thing, and that bias it will be carried out, and they have making a process basically. So for example, this is a good interesting blog of Dali which tells you what they have been trying to do to reducing this bias basically. And somebody who had seen recently where the Google and all had been working, all the new phones the Google is coming, they are trying to reduce bias in terms of the photo. So in this particular case, the photo of CEO, yes, there's certainly biasness about the code, but at least in terms of the people, in terms of the color, in terms of the gender, there's certainly uh, they are trying to develop something. So for example, woman, so it's a different skin tone, skin color, uh, different ethnicity for the teacher, for the software engineer, and we know that still, and this also reflects here, still significant percentage of software engineers are male actually. So not only the Googles and Apples have been trying to do, but the foundational AI has also been trying to put some effort in this area basically. So this is one important part. Second issue is certainly now information about you is available, right? Somebody can ask, and all the information available about you in a public domain. So this will definitely compile all the information, give the information to you basically, right? So So in a way, I'm not sure ki if I really apply some policy or especially privacy specific obligations here, so who is a data collector and data processor here basically, right? To whom you may make responsible for this basically. This is all aggregation of the information available on public domain basically, right? So some of the requirements of existing law needs to be checked. Content moderation, they have been trying to do a lot. So this is a effort they are trying to put together. So for that matter, any input text that is being um, uh, put, so it is trying to check whether it is promoting violence, it is leading to self harm, hate or sexuality. So probably over the time, these 700 billion parameters I talked about, over the time, this will get improved basically. But by that time, this will be certainly a challenge. We had been seeing this challenge in existing social media application or all internet application basically. But they have now made, this is true with many of the applications. So they have been trying to put some effort in this area basically. But still there will be a lot of challenges that because there will be sudden onslaught of many application, many prompts, many different ways this will be used, and people have been started using it. As I talked about, it is costing more than $1 million every day to open AI now, because to serve all those requests coming from RSS close basically. And this will be, I mean, this still being used by some people early adopter, but if suppose this is being used by many applications, because they are providing many of these things in API, many people create a prompt, they do use them prompt, suddenly this will be increasing the load on the system. There's already DDoS attack on OpenAI yesterday only. So just imagine how much content that will be get created. So we already are filled with a lot of those hate centric content on social media. Now this will create a tool for that basically. It will create a lot of references as well. So for example, for anything, any argument you want to state here, and you just ask, give me historical reference for stating this position, it will give me all the references. So all of these things would be creating a lot of challenges going forward. At the same time, we welcome this kind of evolution, but this is, people are saying this is a new internet basically, and this will be changing a lot of those things that will be happening in the future. Police will be using to know more about the criminals will be using to find a different ways to hack into, to defraud people. So there are multiple different uses will be happening basically. And you are talking about 1700 billion parameters, which will be shortly going to 5000 million parameters, and those will be leveraged to do criminal activities. And as we had seen that the somebody like her, somebody like police officers will struggle to catch with that actually. So this is what we wanted to discuss. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so this is a big danger people saying, right? So now, see, we all have problem in some of the areas, that especially writing is, most of the people struggle with writing, right? Now this will become a standard, gold standard kind of, or common standard kind of. Everybody will, anything you will ask to write, and everybody will then use OpenAI and use that as a kind of default test. This is definitely, we see some of the cognitive heavy creative work basically, right? Requires you to invest your mind, invest your brain, and at the same time invest the effort to bring that in a particular language basically. Suddenly you will see, and there are this content creators economy that people talk about. This will be definitely great tool for you. Means I really enjoy copywriting DSS session titles basically, right? But now I tried with session titles as well. I given some context and ask, give me title for this particular paragraph, and it's doing good, quite good job. But I still think I can add on top of it basically. It is giving me quite an interesting kind of option, but uh, the role of creativity will be challenged a lot. So the mediocrity in a creative space basically, that will definitely get challenged with this basically, right? Most of the, for example, image, we have a lot of these tools, right? Get image, this image, pre-pick, and all this thing. So I'm not sure what will be the future for them basically with this coming in basically, and more realistic it is becoming. But at the same time, it may be becoming monotonous in the future, right? But I also worried about the creative minds because if you don't produce something original, something new, something different, it will be very difficult for you as well, actually. So our next generation, if you are creating the creative minds for them, you you have to make sure that there is a definitely a distinct uh, way, a distinct basically skills that you definitely need to build with them basically. Otherwise, everybody. So this is another big challenge that I see. With this access and access the way it is being going and coming to the way it is easy now to use the open AI. I had been using closer copy, I had been using what is only, but the kind of business that is tried to introduce, there's only prompt, right? And you have to just write and it will generate this. Means it will be available to all the population. In a way, it will improve the basic knowledge or probably intelligent quotient of a population, which will bring probably some level of parity. But at the same time, then what will be left basically, right? So there's some new type of the role, new type of the work, new type of the ideas that may require to work on that. So as people talk about automation is would be killed and would be creating a lot of challenges for certain set of job. I had seen that happening in food industry or the manufacturing industry. Then what will be going for the in the future? How much of the knowledge work will be taken by these basically? We all are representative of knowledge work basically. How much it will take basically, right? So all that would be very important, and at the same time, yeah. No, this is because this is generative text, right? Plagiarism will be taken care of by this. But then that's still easy, right? Because your source, but and you are referring back to source is a definitely important part of this one. As I talked about, there are 1700 billion parameters, and day by day these parameters are getting increased, right? In fact, it will solve plagiarism problem quite depending on your nature, depending on how you write. Basically, based on that, it generates text for you. Basically, certainly, it will also help you to check plagiarism as well. So whatever text it has thrown, it will check the plagiarism as well. Actually, yeah. Yeah, so it's the instruct GPT is a part of ChatGPT, so it is integrated in because yeah. So the instruct GPT, which is a part of now, is integrated, and there is a blog here. If you must have seen, um, which talks about instruct. So there's a whisper now. They are bringing it this to audio as well. Going forward, we'll have a lot of interesting audio thing, and so in the blog they had talked about instruction. So so when you're instructing, you're commanding, right? It's a you're prompting it to look at, right? And after that prompt, whatever you're writing is largely coming from chat gpt basically. So it understands the command that you are giving, and then it knows ki the poem is a command here. I have to write poem about the Infosys. But after that, the Infosys, then it compiles all the information about the Infosys. But it knows that I have to write poem on Infosys, not article on Infosys, basically. So this is instruct GPT, and the Chat GPT. So this gives me what kind of parameters I should look about. So parameters is I have to write a poem about the Infosys. So for example, I think where is that poem? So this was a poem on Tata Communication. So I have given poem on Tata Communication. So poem is an instruction basically, and they are compilation of a lot of those action that we will ask it, and then Tata Communication is a company basically. So it will compile. So whatever information it brings together, largely coming from ChatGPT, and then contextualizing to particular instruction basically. Yeah. So I just talked about this, right? So here, some of the concept of data controller, right? So we talk about entire data collection and data use and purpose is based on the consent given, right? This is this is challenging, and one part that I'm seeing now in our data protection bill, which talks about exemption to process publicly available data, means data privacy law will not be applicable if data is publicly available, basically, right? So, in a way, it addresses some of the concerns about the privacy here. Um, Certainly, we ourselves are creating uh, data and putting that data, right. And now my worry future may is like our likes as well, right? Our likes, our emotions with touch id, our face, and all of that is now, the expressions are now also getting captured, basically, right? And those expressions would also be used for such kind of purposes, basically. Emojis are easy. Wow, we know that emojis are very easy for us to converse, but the emojis are also expressions, basically, and those expressions would be captured. And this data protection bill also brought some interesting idea about uh, uh, data after you as well, right? It has brought idea of a right to nominate, right? So after you, you will remain with your data. So we have this concept of the Atma and Sharir. You will go, but your Atma in terms of data will remain, and you can make a call to that data. So, so this is a different paradigm. The public policy question, the ethics, morality, all this question we need to understand and then ask the question, basically. Some of the existing understanding of ethics would also get challenged with this, basically. Yeah, so they had been talking. So secure by design, you want what? OpenAI you are talking about? Yeah, me see, this is funded organization, quite significant funding coming from Microsoft plus this one. So definitely one thing is, yeah, with all the beating that got Silicon Valley got in last 5 6 years of time with respect to privacy primarily and now security is certainly. Um, I was doing some study. If somebody is interested, I can set up a separate meeting on that in conference. We can't talk about how all thing that we do, but almost 15,000 patent we try to create a list of those 15,000 patent, all these pharma companies, right? Facebook, Amazon, Apple, Microsoft, and Amazon as well, right? So out of the 15,000 patents, basically tons of patents on a data privacy, data security. In terms just by reading those patents, basically you're thinking where exactly this is thinking going. All that beating that they got for the privacy now, and how much patent they are filing now. If you relate that, and quite interesting insight in terms of how technology is moving with respect to the security of data, taking care of the security, and more importantly privacy as well. So so that tells that how critically they are thinking about security, actually. So I know Tesla engineers, I know Meta engineers, they have been engaged with us, and we sometimes discuss with us as well. So a couple of Meta engineers had been in touch with me for last 2 years, and now they left last 6 months and they come back in Nagpur. They set up a data privacy company. Quite interesting idea. They are now incubated company with DSCI. In a just short span of 2 3 months, they even raised a quite a good investment either way, actually. So because the kind of investment they are making on fundamental of security and privacy, especially anonymization technology, because they know they have to retain the advertisement business at the same time they have to take care of the privacy. So yes, because of that, I see security, privacy is a critical focus in this company. Just look at their patent for last 5 years, you will get to see how much effort they're putting together in this. Okay, last 2 3 months. Yeah. Yeah, so the Yeah, with the final outcome, right? So final outcome, how that will be used, is a big challenge actually. I mean, yesterday we had this law enforcement session, right? I mean, we are talking till in the context where most of the thing happen, where we know that it will happen this way. Means, interesting case I was discussing yesterday. One of my friend is building hospital in one small town place in Maharashtra, and he was taking MSCB light electricity connection. I don't know how this information got into public, and he got a message that for you need to pay some 100 rupees as a disease charges. For that, you have to because nowadays everything is application, right? And yesterday DGP was saying that in Delhi they have come up, Chandigarh they have come up with a requirement where if you go and pay a bill at a physical location, in location, 25 rupees extra you have to pay. We are making people forcefully to implement application. And then he got a call and he installed the application. Mobile got hacked. OTP got diverted, and in a span of 5-10 minutes, almost 15-20,000 rupees has been withdrawn from his account. Being a doctor, he could understand something is going wrong, basically, right? That's not true with most of the us. I had one PhD computer science professor couple of weeks calling me, Vinayak, this has happened, and I end up sharing OTP because there's so many calls comes, and 35,000 rupees had been withdrawn. And there are some people who had been 4 lakhs, 7 lakhs, and so these are still cases where we know modus operandi. But imagine the paradigm where people are thinking about billion different way to defraud you, basically, right? And how would be we trying to solve, understand, know? So the forensic science, the investigation would be entirely at a different level. So as they will be using this criminals and fraudster, we should also use it to know how what we can do with this actually. Okay. So this, I think, let's go to the main hall where the plenary sessions are starting. Thank you for joining. We try to do something different every time with the breakfast session. Um, uh, thanks.